So race 5 of the meeting, we head into DD2 territory this time. So here's the grid. Mika Metz took pole position earlier on in qualifying, ahead of Lukas Horstmann, Ronny Göttler and Florian Breitenbach. That is your top 2 rows, ahead of the 401 of Yannick Jacobs and the 488 of Marc Bartels. Row 4, it's Leon Arndt in the 442 and the 481 of Fabian Bock. Completing the top 10, it's the 468 and the 439 of Hannes Border and Lawrence Seyfried, respectively. Marcel Steinert and Jonas Wolscheid in the 413 and the 420. Complete the 6th row, ahead of the 494 of Marco Göttler, the 409 of Tim Stender, the 477 of Robert Schopian, the 469 of Yannick Herrmann, the 405 of Tristan Gebhardt, and the 402 of Philipp Dreschler. So 10 minutes plus an additional lap for this particular race. So Mika Metz comes into this championship with a 12-point advantage. And with the top 3 covered by 12 points, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a hard-fought slog all the way through this next day and a bit of competition, plus also what we'll have at Witgenborn on October the 2nd and 3rd for the championship finale, which will see drivers qualify for the 2021 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in Bahrain, representing Team Germany, or representing the nation if they qualify through a different license. So got to get into formation pretty quickly. 18 drivers, 9 rows, 10 minutes plus an additional lap. Into the tram lines we go. And we wait, the revs rise. Are we ready? Do we go lights out? I'm not too sure. We'll just keep an eye on that one. But it looks like Mika Metz got a great start initially. And it looks like Lukas Horstmann might be in 2nd position. So green flags are waving. The timer has started to count down. And Mika Metz leads the way. Horstmann in 2nd. Göttler might still be in 3rd unless Florian Breitenbach has had anything to say about it. And it looks like the latter has made it through. So they come through to complete lap number 1. Wondering if that is that Fabian Bock that's made a few places in the meantime, as well as Lawrence Seyfried. Going to find out as they come across the line to complete lap number 1. Mika Metz leading Lukas Horstmann, Breitenbach, Bartels, Bock and Seyfried. Schopian's dropped all the way down to stone dead last in 18th position. So Mika Metz starting to open up a gap. And it looks to be a considerable one. 0.6 at the end of the first lap. Horstmann and Breitenbach could be bringing people along with, and it looks to be the case. There's Marc Bartels, Fabian Bock, Lawrence Seyfried, Ronny Göttler, Yannick Jacobs, Leon Arndt and Marcel Steinert. I did say watch out for Steinert because he normally gets a bit racier during race trim, but qualifying doesn't always seem to suit him. Plus also, he's had to deal with another new chassis for 2021 indeed. So that's where things can sometimes be a bit lost in translation. Hannes Border gets past Marcel Steinert to now take 10th position. Oh, and we've had massive dramas. Ronny Göttler is involved in that. And I think the other driver, if memory serves me correctly, that could be Marc Bartels. There's been an almighty off going into turn 2. Just so double waved yellows. Yes, it was Marc Bartels that was the other driver involved. And unfortunately, those 2 drivers out on the spot. So it doesn't help either of them, I'm afraid. So that is now going to change things quite considerably. So Seyfried now ends up in 4th place behind. Well, you can see now there's going to be a change because Yannick Jacobs has now gotten past Lawrence Seyfried. That is for 4th position. Hannes Border running in the 468, having made the switch to the Maranello chassis, as opposed to Parolin that I've seen him on previously. The good thing is that Hannes Border now has made a good as... now, I saw it now. Did I just see something? I saw a little bit of debris flying from the underneath of one of the chassis. Now, that could have been Horstmann. I'm not 100% sure, but it was through the S section. So I'm just having a look back at the footage. And yeah, something came out from underneath from Lucas Hosman's cart. Hopefully that's not exhaust related, otherwise that's going to be noisier than a noisy thing on a bad day. Mark Bartels and Ronnie Göttler are out of the race, but the main thing is they both walked away from that incident. That was a bit of a hit there as well. So we're down to what will be 15 or 16 drivers, as long as Robert Chopin, who does cross the stripe now, with 6.5 minutes still to go. So I'm not too sure whether underneath Horseman's cart that might have been a bit of debris from elsewhere, or whether that is part of the cart that has actually ended up going off the circuit. But it didn't look like anything important. I mean, if it was the back bumper, you probably would have seen it coming like nobody's business. However, it's getting a bit feisty a little bit further down. Hannes Border getting his elbows well and truly out, along with the likes of Leon Arndt and Marcel Steiner, who's now up into 8th. Marco Göttler now up into 14th, past Philipp Dreschler. Fabian Bock has also been in the trenches. He's now down he's up into 12th now, having gotten past Tristan Gebhardt. There is Lucas Horstmann. Still. Now, I'm just looking here to see what... Oh, now there was some... Now that has caused problems for Lucas Hartmann, because I didn't see a mechanical black flag showing on the timing. So whether he knew that something was awry... So that has changed everything. Florian Breidenbach, in the meantime, is now inherited as a result of Lucas Horstmann jumping into the pits. That has given him second position on the road, but now he's got to fight for it, because look at the train behind, and it's quite considerable. You've got Yannick Jacobs, you've got Hannes Border, Lawrence Seyfried, Leon Arndt, all battling away. I think, have you? Yes, you've even got Marcel Steinert. Steinert has got past Leon Arndt for position, so that now puts... That changes everything, because now Mika Metz is leading way by a country mile. No one's going to touch him with a dose of salts at the minute. But look, the gap nearly 4.9 seconds. Here comes Yannick Jacobs up the inside of Breidenbach. And there is Hannes Border just behind. Lawrence Seyfried and Marcel Steiner round out the top 6. Leon Arndt in 7th. Jonas Wolscheid in 8th place, ahead of Tim Stender and Yannick Herrmann. But this battle for what is going to be effectively second on the road is going to be rather interesting, wouldn't you say, ladies and gentlemen? Because now, especially going through those S-bends, someone could make one hell of a manoeuvre and maybe take at least not just one place, but maybe a couple in the process. But the thing is, who's going to be the one to put it all on the line? Who's got the stones to go for the move? Your guess is as good as mine. But sometimes strategy is probably the best thing. But Hannes Border not using strategy at all as he tries to fire it up the inside. Was that that was Marcel Steinert, I think, that has just managed. He got past Lawrence Seyfried, and there he is. There is Marcel Steinert closing in on Florian Breidenbach, because Yannick Jacobs has checked out by a little bit of a distance. So did say watch out for Steinert when he's on form. He does not give up easily, and that has just proved it. Case in point, because he's now the FM Racing meet in an Ease Racing sandwich right about now, and that's the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, because Lawrence Seyfried and Leon Arndt are behind them. And a little bit of a different line taken by Marcel Steinert in comparison with Florian Breidenbach, who takes the conventional racing line. You can just see how close these drivers are. It's not easy out there when you're battling temperatures. You know, it's probably going to be at least 35 to 40 degrees Celsius in that race suit. As there is Marcel Steiner. He's looking one way, then the other. He looked to the right, then went to the left and got the job done. And now, here comes Hannes Border. Here comes... Oh! Now, Florian Breidenbach has really been thrown to the wolves right about now. Okay. We've got our first penalty issued during the race, and Ronnie Göttler actually got has been given a 5-second time penalty by race control for unfair driving stroke pushing. So that would probably be for the incident involving him and Mark Bartels a bit earlier on. Won't make any difference to the race result. Still, nevertheless, it's something that has to be looked at by race control and accordingly penalised. It's always down to them to make those decisions. I would not like to be in their position when they're having to look at 20 different viewpoints or 20 different cameras on the circuit. As we are now on to lap number 12 of this race. Mika Metz still leading the way. Jacobs now crosses the line, 6.4 seconds behind. But then it's all kicking off behind. You know, someone's pulled the pin on the grenade and thrown it, and that person is Marcel Steiner. Here's Hannes Border up the inside. Steiner looking to get back at him. Through into the next left-hander at turn 3. Now into 4 and 5. And Steiner looking rather racy, as is the driver behind him. And that is Lawrence Seyfried. Now, Seyfried has returned to competitive racing in DD2 this year. He used to do a bit of spannering over the last couple of seasons with a few teams, or a team. I think RS Competition springs to mind. I did used to see with him under the Robert Schlunsen awning on a regular occasion, mechanicking for a few drivers, but decided to get back in and had the opportunity to do so. So there is Steinert along with Border. And it's getting a little bit elbows out, a little bit further behind. I noticed one of the Dorn Motorsport carts. That looks to be Leon Arndt battling away with the likes of Fabian Bock and Tim Stender, amongst others, into the last 30 seconds of the race, plus an additional lap. Mika Metz has checked out well and truly. 6.6 seconds is the gap between him and Yannick Jacobs. And these drivers here are battling over the scraps on the table. So on to lap number 14 out of 15 goes Mika Metz. So does Yannick Jacobs. There's Hannes Border, who is now 1.8 seconds behind. Marcel Steiner has wound up the wick on the comp kart chassis, puts in a personal best, 44.952 seconds on that particular round, that particular tour of the circuit. So timer has hit 0, and this is the penultimate lap of this first heat. So final lap board is shown to Mika Metz. Jacobs in second. Robert Chopin looks to have pulled in the pits. Lukas Hosman has also, unfortunately, retired whilst placing second. So 14 out of 18 drivers still circulating. Mika Metz still very much out in front at the moment, and will very shortly be coming through the S's and into the final couple of corners. So there's Jacobs, but the checkered flag waves. There is Mika Metz, who takes a convincing victory here in DD2. Jacobs now will cross the line very shortly. 7 seconds adrift in P2. Hannes Border wins the battle for P3 ahead of Marcel Steinert along Seyfried. The top 5 covered by just over 9.8 seconds at the checkered. Florian Breitenbach rounds out the top 6 ahead of Fabian Bock, Leon Arndt, Marco Göttler, Yannick Herrmann, Jonas Wolscheid, Tim Stender, Tristan Gebhardt and Philipp Treschler rounding out the top 14, all of which finished all 15 laps of racing. Robert Chopin unfortunately retired on lap 13. Lukas Horstmann on the end of lap 6 after something came adrift from the bottom of the kart, going through the S's, with Mark Bartels and Honey Göttler eliminated after a clash between the pair on lap number 3.